Do you think Oklahoma State or Texas Natty? I don't think either team's going to the Natty, but right now, I think you just have to give the edge to Oklahoma State because they're better on defense. I think offensively, they're pretty even, to be honest with you. I think we may be a little bit better, but
Yeah,
defense.
Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. I think defensively, they're a little bit better at this point.
I would have to go with Oklahoma State until proven otherwise.
Yeah. That's going to be a really good game. I mean, especially if we win the next two games versus, I believe we play Iowa State, and then we have two very hard games back to back that I think we're going to end up splitting with Kansas State and Oklahoma State. But Brandon and I both, when we previewed Texas, disagreed on the loss. He thought we'd lose to Oklahoma State. I thought we'd lose to Kansas State, but I have a feeling, and I think Brandon would agree with this, we go 1-1 in those games. I don't think we win both.
Yeah, I think so.
MSU tried to buy wins too. No, they bought a coach. They didn't try to buy wins, but they paid way too much for Mel Tucker after 1 year. I never understand that. Like, why do you give extensions to guys that aren't in demand anywhere else? Where was Mel Tucker going to go? No one's from the NFL is calling Mel Tucker. There's no big program right now that has an opening that I think would interest Mel Tucker. So why throw all that money at him? It's just like when Texas gave that ludicrous extension to Tom Herman. Like, where the freak is Tom Herman going to go? Like, he's not going to go anywhere. So I don't understand that. I don't think you should do that for coaches. I think it's fine to give them a 1 or 2 year extension, but anything more than that's just crazy to me unless they're in demand. Brady Hart, who's going to Nebraska? That is a great question. I don't know. If I'm Leipold, I stay away from that situation because they expect way too much there. If I'm Leipold, I try to negotiate a lifetime contract with Kansas after this year. I really do. I try to get a 10 to 15 year contract. They'll pay me $3 to $4 million a year. And that's, guys, at a certain point, happiness, money doesn't equal happiness. If you're getting paid $3 million a year at Kansas for the next 10 years, that's $30 million. With the taxes there, that you're not going to get taxed that much. The expectations are low. If you win 6 games a year, you're a god there. So I really don't understand why you'd leave to go to Nebraska, where if you go 7-5, 7-5, 7-5, 3 straight years, the 4th year you're going to be on the hot seat and you can be fired.
I hope it's Tom Herman.
It could be, and if like I said, if Tom Herman at whatever age he is, and most people can't do this, they get set in their ways, is able to look in the mirror and say, I did this, this, and this wrong at Texas, he can work at somewhere. He definitely can. He's got the ability. He can definitely coach a little bit. Obviously, in those big games, he coached very well. But there was some arrogance about him, and if he didn't get rid of that, then he's not going to work anywhere anymore.
And you got to think on Leopold's side. Texas and Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12. You're bringing in group of 5 teams. Why can't you be the top dog now?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know why you couldn't think like that. I mean, you're going to win. I think Kansas is going to win 7-8 games this year. So I don't really see why you would leave when, like I said, you win 6 to 7 games every year at Kansas. That guarantees you a decade. It really does. I don't think their expectations are going to change. They're like, oh, we need to win 9-10 games now. I just don't see that happening. Whereas Nebraska does have those expectations. By the way, USC and UCLA are coming in. Those are both better programs than Nebraska at this point. So I don't understand it. I wouldn't leave. Wisconsin would be interesting because he did coach at Wisconsin Whitewater. That's a job I think he should consider. But unless they throw him like double or triple his salary, in my opinion, because I think he only makes $2 million at Kansas. If they want to triple his salary, then I would leave. But if they don't do that, I wouldn't leave either.
Okay, is the former TCU head coach an interest? I don't see why not. Gary
Nebraska?
Patterson, he's been a good coach.
Yeah, I don't think so. One of two things. I don't think his like brand is recovered yet. I still think it's going to take another year for people to forget how bad he was the last couple of years at TCU. 2, I don't know if he wants that. That's the main question. If he doesn't want a coaching job, I could see him just riding into the sunset doing what he's doing at Texas, because I'm sure he's making $1 million, and I'm sure it's a pretty easy job. I bet Sark gave him like 4 games in the offseason to say, hey, these are the teams I need you to absolutely deep dive into and just find out any mismatches that we can have. And I bet that was Bama, Oklahoma State, and then name the other team, probably Baylor. And then the rest he kind of helps on week-to-week basis. But I bet there was a lot of deep dives of the really good teams that we were going to play and not really much else. So I don't really know why he would leave personally, unless he does want to be a head coach again. That's the main thing. He could want to do that. He may want to do that. Sonny Dykes is proving that. In my opinion, Gary Patterson is past his prime. I actually like Sonny Dykes. I thought that was a good hire for TCU. Good recruiter, fun brand of offense. I think the defense is playing a little out of its mind right now. I don't think they're that good on defense, but overall, I think yes, Sonny Dykes is doing better than I thought he would his first year. I thought they were going to win like 6 games this year and then win 8 or 9 games the next year and then kind of take off from there. So we'll see. I think it's going to be fun when Texas and Oklahoma leave the Big 12 because they're going to leave a power vacuum and someone's going to have to take over as like the top 2 teams and top 2 exciting teams in the Big 12, and I think TCU could do that.
Smooth Criminal. I don't. He's not even the DC. He's just an analyst right now.
Yeah. Would Gary turn down money? I mean, he's made a lot of money, so I don't think it's I think Gary Patterson at this point cares more about the job that he's offered more than the money he's offered. Like Nebraska is a decent job, but he may want something. He may think there's something better. If you guys really don't think Brent Venables is going to work out at Oklahoma, let's say he struggles the next 2 years, Gary Patterson could go to Oklahoma. I mean, I don't see why not. I don't think at this point it would be pretty crazy to say that Josh Heupel would leave Tennessee and go to Oklahoma. That wouldn't make much sense to me for what he's building at Tennessee. But who knows? It is his alma mater. We'll have to see.
Yeah, but hey, there's some bad blood there.
That's true.
That's bad blood. Would Sark hire an offensive analyst? I'm sure, if there was somebody out there that piqued his interest or, help break down a team, I'm sure he's not above having assistants,
I think he did hire an offensive analyst.
But
I think
he did with the former Duke coach, but he left and went to the SEC.
David Cutcliffe.
Cutcliffe, yeah.
Yeah. And there was someone else too, that I think he had on the staff at one point. But yeah, I think he would. I just have to be the right guy. I don't see why he wouldn't. Okay, who's the next guy at Nebraska? In my opinion, I think Matt Campbell. I think Matt Campbell's going to be the head coach in Nebraska. I just think he slides over there. I think that makes sense.
Marion's a receivers
coach. Yeah.
Who wins the national championship? I'm going to go with a gut feeling and say Ohio State.
I think it's Alabama. I think Alabama wins it. I just think that's like the one team that can get pressure on CJ Stroud. And when you're not used to the pressure, because if you watch Ohio State, he doesn't get pressured a lot. He sits back there pretty comfortably. That can really bother you more than even just more than it normally even does. But Ohio State, it's funny because at the beginning of the season, everyone thought Ohio State and Alabama. You watch the first couple of weeks, you're like, I don't know about that. But now it's the same thing. Like those are the 2 best teams. I don't even think it's really close at this point. Georgia's really fallen off the last 2 weeks. They look like absolute crap versus Missouri, and they look even worse versus Kent State. And I think Stetson Bennett is kind of coming down to earth.
Yeah, if you'd asked me 2 weeks ago who I thought was going to win it, I would have told you Georgia was about to go back to back.